Remember when a real-time strategy match started with one lonely construction yard and somehow ended with half the map covered in factories, tanks, helicopters, and burning enemy buildings? You would spend the first few minutes scraping together resources, build a ridiculous army, unlock a super weapon, and then watch the enemy base disappear in one final attack. If you grew up with Command & Conquer, Red Alert, Generals, or Tiberian Sun, you know exactly what that felt like. That style of strategy game has been missing for a while, but it finally looks like developers are ready to bring it back. Welcome to Magic Game World. Today, we are checking out 7 upcoming modern and futuristic real-time strategy games that could bring back some of that old-school magic. Let us start with Dust Front, because this one has a very different mood from the usual colorful strategy game. The world is dark, industrial, and completely ruined by war. You build refineries, barracks, factories, and storage buildings, then send tanks, infantry, and aircraft into large battles. The interesting part is that these fights are not completely separate from each other. Units can survive, gain experience, and return in later battles. Captured regions also need protection, so every victory creates another problem you have to deal with. It feels like a traditional base-building game, but with a much larger war happening in the background. There is already a playable demo, while the full release date is still unannounced. Dust Front looks serious and brutal. Fractured Alliance goes in the opposite direction. This one looks like it wants to give you a huge army, a ridiculous superweapon, and permission to destroy everything in sight. The developers mention Command & Conquer, Red Alert, and Supreme Commander as major inspirations, and the influence is easy to see. You gather resources, build a proper base, produce tanks and aircraft, and slowly unlock more powerful technology. The 3 factions also play very differently, with advanced high-tech forces, heavy industrial weapons, and flexible drone armies. Then the game starts getting ridiculous. You can launch nuclear missiles, control the weather, release massive drone swarms, and even drop an asteroid on the enemy base. Fractured Alliance is not trying to be realistic. It's trying to be loud, destructive, and fun. Honestly, that is probably exactly what a lot of Command & Conquer fans want. And if an asteroid still doesn't sound big enough, Sanctuary Shattered Sun goes even further. The entire war takes place on a giant structure built around a star, with 3 factions fighting across land, air, and sea. You can build enormous bases, deploy experimental units, protect your army with shields, and control thousands of units across huge battlefields. The map itself can even become part of your strategy. You might freeze an ocean and turn it into a road for your ground forces, or destroy the surface under an enemy base and send the whole thing falling toward the star. Sanctuary is closer to Supreme Commander than Command & Conquer, but the huge bases, giant armies, resource economy, and devastating weapons should still feel very familiar. The game is currently expected in August 2027. After all that science fiction destruction, let's come back to something a little more grounded. Global Conflagration is a modern warfare strategy game set in an alternate version of near-future Europe, and it looks especially promising for fans of Command and Conquer generals. The formula is simple. Build a base, grow your economy, capture important positions, produce an army, and destroy the other side. The three factions come with their own infantry, tanks, helicopters, aircraft, and support abilities. Airstrikes and carpet bombing can turn a controlled battle into complete chaos in seconds. Tanks also have directional armor, so positioning matters, but the game still looks fast and accessible instead of turning into a full military simulation. Skirmish, multiplayer, and a story campaign are all planned. There is no confirmed release date yet, but this is easily one of the most interesting upcoming games for fans of modern military strategy. Global Conflagration keeps the setting close to home. Crimson Freedom takes the same kind of faction conflict all the way to Mars. The game is set in the 22nd century, where three powers are fighting over the future of humanity. The Red Rebellion wants freedom and independence. Orbis Concordia believes survival depends on order and control. Asentex wants to push humanity beyond its biological limits through artificial intelligence and advanced technology. Each faction will have its own units, strengths, technology, and campaign. The game still includes traditional base building, resource collection, army production, and technology upgrades, but the developers want to reduce some of the constant worker management. The goal is to let players spend more time making decisions and commanding armies. Crimson Freedom is also being built with a strong focus on single-player content, which could make it especially interesting for people who remember Command and Conquer for its campaigns and factions, not just the multiplayer. The game is currently planned for 2027. Now, if Generals and Zero Hour are still the games you go back to most, Mass Conflict Ignition may be the one you should watch most closely. This is a modern and near-future strategy game built around fast base construction, aggressive expansion, support powers, and combined arms combat. There are three asymmetrical factions along with garrisonable buildings, advanced technology, and powerful battlefield abilities. A single-player campaign is planned, plus skirmish battles against computer-controlled opponents, competitive multiplayer, cooperative modes, and a world editor for custom maps and modifications. The whole thing feels familiar without looking like a direct copy. Modern armies, experimental weapons, infantry inside civilian buildings, faction powers, and proper base building are all here. And then we have DORF, Real-Time Strategic Conflict. Out of everything here, this may be the game that comes closest to the full old-school Command and Conquer experience. The setting is a strange industrial future filled with giant factories, ruined technology, and three completely different factions. The Union of Imperial States relies on armor, artillery, railways, heavy industry, and massive defensive structures. The Warband tribes turn old machines and battlefield wreckage into improvised weapons. The Collective uses advanced soldiers, mobile refineries, walking structures, and recovered technology. You build large bases, collect oil, ore, and battlefield scrap, and create supply networks to keep your factories running. Combat includes land, air, and naval units, with everything from multi-turret tanks and artillery machines to psychic infantry and giant Zeppelin bombers. Infantry can even storm enemy buildings and capture their technology. The pixel art style immediately brings back memories of Red Alert and Tiberian Sun, but the logistics, trenches, naval warfare, and technology capture make it feel like more than a simple nostalgia project. DORF still has no official release date, but if you miss ore fields, huge bases, strange factions, super weapons, and total destruction, this is probably the game to keep at the top of your list. The old-school base-building strategy game may never return exactly the way we remember it, but these projects show that the formula is far from dead. Global conflagration and mass conflict ignition look great for Generals fans. Crimson Freedom could bring back the kind of faction-driven campaign that modern strategy games often ignore. Sanctuary Shattered Sun is aiming for a scale that most games wouldn't even attempt, and DORF may be the closest thing we have right now to a true Command and Conquer style comeback. Which one are you most excited to play? Let us know in the comments. And for more upcoming games, gaming news, lists, and guides, subscribe to Magic Game World. Thanks for watching.